The road shimmered under the late afternoon sun, a long ribbon of cracked asphalt, stretching past shuttered shops and rusted signboards, the kind of place people pass through without stopping, the kind of place where stories were swallowed by dust and forgotten footsteps. And it was here, right beside a faded bus stop bench, that the boy stood, clutching a bicycle far too big for his thin frame. Its paint chipped, its chain whining softly whenever he nudged it forward, his sandals worn down to the sole, his shirt a size too small, eyes too large for his face, eyes that carried the weight of nights without sleep and mornings without food. And when the roar of engines broke the quiet, deep, thunderous, rolling like a storm, he didn't flinch, didn't run, didn't hide, because desperation had burned fear out of him long ago. The bikers came into view like shadows with chrome teeth, leather jackets catching the light, helmets gleaming, a convoy of power and freedom and noise, men who looked like they owned the road and everything on it, laughter crackling through their intercoms as they slowed for fuel and water. And as they parked, one of them noticed the boy, how he stood too still, how his hands trembled around the handlebars, and before anyone could wave him away or toss him a coin, the boy stepped forward, his voice small but steady, slicing through the engine noise like a fragile thread. "Buy my bike, sir. Mommy hasn't eaten in 2 days." And for a moment the world seemed to pause. The bikers exchanging glances, smirks fading, something tightening behind their ribs, because they'd heard a lot of stories on the road, lies, tricks, rehearsed pity, but there was something in the way the boy said, "Mommy," not dramatic, not loud, just factual, like a weather report, like hunger had become routine. And one of the bikers, a broad-shouldered man with a scar cutting through his eyebrow, crouched down to eye level, joking lightly to mask the discomfort creeping in, asking where his father was, asking why the bike, asking questions men ask when they want an excuse not to feel responsible. And the boy answered honestly without embellishment, saying his father used to work at the textile mill before it shut down, saying his father left to find work and never came back, saying the bike was the last thing of value they had, saying his mother had been strong until sickness pinned her to the bed. And as the words spilled out, the bikers grew quieter, the laughter dying, the road listening, and another biker, older, beard threaded with gray, walked around the bike, inspecting it out of habit, noticing the bent wheel, the cracked seat, the makeshift tape holding the brake cable, murmuring that it wasn't worth much, that it would cost more to fix than it was worth. And the boy nodded as if he already knew that, as if value had stopped meaning money to him days ago, saying he didn't need much, just enough for food, just enough to get through today and the scarred. Biker pulled out his wallet, flipping through bills, when a sharp voice cut through the air, dismissive, irritated, one of the younger bikers scoffing that this was a scam. The kids were taught these lines, that if they helped one, 10 more would appear, that they weren't a charity. And the boy's face fell, not in anger, not in surprise, but in quiet resignation, and he stepped back, gripping the bike tighter, whispering an apology no one had asked for, turning as if to leave. And that was when the older biker felt it, a memory, sharp and unwelcome, of his own childhood, of a mother who skipped meals so he could eat, of nights listening to her stomach growl in the dark, and without saying a word, he took off his gloves, reached into his jacket, and placed a folded wad of cash into the boy's hand, more than the bike was worth, more than food for a day, and told him to keep the bike, to take care of his mother, to be strong. And the boy stared at the money like it might vanish, lips trembling, eyes shining, and he said thank you over and over, voice breaking, before running down the road toward a cluster of low houses, the bike rattling beside him, hope pulling him faster than hunger ever had. And the bikers stood there in the fading light, something heavy and uncomfortable settling among them, engines quiet, the road suddenly less fun. And as they mounted up to leave, none of them noticed the black SUV parked farther down the road, windows tinted, engine idling, watching, nor the man inside who smiled slowly, because he recognized the boy, recognized the bike, recognized the story, and knew exactly who had taken everything from that family. And in the next chapter, the truth behind the hunger, the sickness, and the stolen future would begin to surface in ways none of the bikers were prepared for. And if you're feeling this story already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because what comes next will change everything you think you know about kindness, justice, and the price of silence.